as I was doing before, and I am allowing myself to be fully here, and you guys can start to do the same. So if you haven't already, go ahead and close your eyes. Start to deepen your breath a little bit. Start to create that intention for yourself. So thinking about that word, that phrase, that mantra, whatever it is that you're calling it this evening, go ahead and begin to set that. And just enjoy the stillness for a couple more breaths. I try to settle my camera. Okay. So once you've kind of grounded down and brought yourself into this moment, you can slowly start to make your way into a full body stretch, beginning to reach your arms over your head, kind of rolling out your fingertips or your wrists, your ankles, wiggling the toes, all those little movements that feel really good and allow you to start to wake up the body a little bit. On the next inhale, we're going to come into a little ball by drawing the knees in towards us, wrapping our arms around our shins. Give yourself a little hug. You can kind of rock it out from side to side, make circles with the knees, maybe even lifting the head up towards the knees if that feels comfortable. And then let's go ahead and place both feet down on the mat. We'll spend a little more time warming up on our backs since it sounds like everyone's feeling like easing into this today. So let's extend the right leg and then just start to raise and lower that right foot. So as you inhale, the leg lifts up. As you exhale, the leg lifts or lowers down. Just take a couple rounds just like that. Stretching out through the back of the leg, warming it up. I know for myself, I sit a lot during the day, so this feels really good as a chance to just move the leg. The next time we lift the leg, start to bring your hands behind it, drawing the leg towards you. You can interlace the hands behind the thigh, behind the calf, the shin, and just give that leg a little love. Massaging the back of the leg, the calf, bending the knee, rolling the ankle, even walking the hands up as you draw your nose towards your knee. And slowly lowering the head back down if it was lifted. And then we'll find that little cross leg shape where the right foot comes to the left knee. You make that kind of triangle shape with your legs. And then the left leg lifts up off the mat, interlacing your hands behind the left thigh, flexing through the feet as you draw the left leg towards you. Just take 2 or 3 breaths here. This time of year, it's good to spend a little extra time warming up because it's a little cooler outside. It's kind of cooler, things are slower, so it feels good to move a little slower. Interesting how our moods match the weather. And then you can go ahead and place that left foot back down on the mat, place the right foot down as well. Both knees are bent again. And then the left leg is going to lift up. As you inhale, lifting up. As you exhale, drawing it back down. A couple more times, just like that. Maybe the leg comes a little closer to you each time you lift it because it's starting to warm up a little more, feel a little more flexible. And then go ahead and bring the hands behind the leg as you start to draw it towards you, massaging the back of the leg, the calf, the ankle rolls, the knee bends, the toes wiggle, whatever you like to do with that leg. And then the left foot comes to the right knee as the right leg lifts up off the mat. Both feet are flexed here. So the left foot is flexed, the right foot is flexed. You're drawing that right leg towards you. Maybe the left hand just gently presses the left knee away from you a little bit. And then from here, let's start to draw both knees in towards us. So unraveling the legs, hug both knees in, and then we'll slowly start to find our way to a seated position. So as always, you can take a couple rolls. You can just take one little roll on your spine, or you don't even have to roll. Rolling is optional. If it feels good to just come to a seat, you can. So as you settle into your seated position, the legs are crossed, your hands can rest gently in your lap. Sit up nice and tall. So this part is important. Sometimes in class, I notice people have their backs kind of arched, their shoulders forward or up towards their ears. I can't see you, so I'm just going to give you some suggestions. Sit up nice and tall, let the shoulders roll down and back. Let your head start to lift up. So the idea is that you're as tall as you can. If you feel like you're starting to sink down, see if you can sit up a little more. And then we're just going to start to circle the upper body. So bringing that chest forward and around, taking a couple circles in both directions. This is one of those poses that's really up to you to move in a way that feels good. So I like circles. Some people think it feels good to just kind of swing from side to side or back and forth. Others might like to kind of focus on the twist, maybe looking over one shoulder and then the other shoulder. Really whatever feels good for you. But just let that upper body move, going back in the opposite direction if you were making circles. And then once you've taken a couple in both directions, you can start to make your way back up through center, finding that nice tall spine again. And then as you inhale, the arms are going to lift up overhead. As you exhale, left fingertips come to the side of you, right fingertips start to lengthen to the side as well. So we're focusing on stretching through the right side of the body. Take that right shoulder and shift it back a little bit so that the heart and the chest are almost lifting up towards the sky. So you're not looking down at your mat and folding forward, you're lifting up out of the chest. On the next inhale, arms come back up overhead. As you exhale, the right hand comes down, left fingertips reach to the opposite side. So think about pressing down through that left hip, rolling open through the left shoulder, and then looking up towards the sky. Almost imagine someone is holding your fingertips and drawing them away from the body. So you're really getting a nice stretch there. And then on the next inhale, take it back up through center. As you exhale, go ahead and fold forward, walking the hands away from you. We're going to take 3 or 4 breaths here. So you're going to use your breath to come into this pose as deeply as it feels comfortable. So go ahead and take a breath in, lengthen through the spine, and then exhale, walk the fingertips a little bit further away from you. Do that about 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, fingertips walk away. Maybe once more. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. And then slowly starting to walk the hands back towards you as you make your way back up to a seated position. And let's bring the soles of the feet together, coming into a butterfly with the hands interlaced under the toes. Spine lengthens on an inhale, and then on the exhale, chest starts to come towards the toes. So that spine is still long. We're not arching the back and just kind of coming into a weird shape just so that your toes can touch your nose or vice versa. That's not the idea here. The idea is that that spine is long and just the chest is gently leaning forward. You can press your elbows into your shins. And then slowly starting to lift it back up. Let's extend the right leg. Left foot can tuck right into that right inner thigh. Flex through the right toes. And then on an inhale, the arms lift up. On an exhale, we'll fold it forward. 3 breaths here. Maybe you're moving a little bit. Maybe you're just staying still and staying with that breath and slowly allowing the upper body to start to fold over the leg. And then slowly starting to lift all the way back up. Let's extend the left leg long, bring the right foot into the left inner thigh, kind of shift the hips a little bit, take that breath in as the arms lift up, and then as you exhale, fold over that left leg. 3 breaths here, lengthening through the back of the body on the inhale, folding a little deeper on the exhale. And then slowly starting to lift it all the way back up. And let's come into a tabletop position. So you can go ahead and bring your knees to the mat, bring your hands to the mat. Start with that neutral back, that flat spine. And then when you are ready, you can go ahead and move through a couple rounds of your cat and cow. So on the inhale, the stomach releases down, the gaze goes up. On the exhale, the back rounds, the ground gets pressed away from you. And you'll continue to move just like that. Inhale, take the gaze up, press the stomach down. Exhale, press the body away from the earth. Almost like a string is drawing the spine back up. And as always, adding on whatever else feels good. My hips are always tight, so I like to move my hips a little bit. If you have any tightness in the upper back or shoulders, sometimes it feels good to move your head a little bit. Start to move with the breath. And then slowly coming back through center, let's start to make our way to our first downward facing dog. So go ahead and tuck the toes, straighten the legs as you send your hips up and back. And just take about 3 breaths here, moving however you like to move when you first come into your downward facing dog. You've all been here plenty of times, so you know by now, down dog feels different every single time you do it. So you might come into it one day and it feels great and you're loving it, and then the next day you're kind of stiff, you're kind of tight, you're kind of tired. That's okay. This is a great pose to sort of check in with yourself and see where you are today, see what you need. On the next inhale, let's roll forward into a plank position. So drawing the shoulders over the wrists. Maybe you had to make some adjustments with the hands or the feet. That's okay. As you exhale, send it back to your downward facing dog. We're going to do that 2 more times with our breath. So slowly, almost like a slow motion wave, roll it forward to your plank. Exhale back to downward facing dog. And 1 more time. Inhale, finding a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Nice little warm up there for you. And then take your gaze towards your hands and start to walk your feet to the top of the mat. Feet can be about hips width distance apart as you take any forward fold that feels good for you. So you probably have a good idea by now what kind of fold you like to do. I tend to gravitate towards holding on to opposite elbows. That's one option. Some people like to bring their hands behind their head, sort of use that weight of the hands to draw the head down towards the earth. You can bring your hands behind your legs, sort of draw yourself towards your legs. Bending the knees is always a good option here, especially earlier on in the class, like it is right now. A little bend in the knees is a good thing. On the next inhale, let's slowly start to lift it all the way up. So the arms are going to reach overhead, maybe a little back bend if that feels comfortable. As you exhale, the hands can come to the sides of the body. Standing up nice and tall. We're going to take a couple of shoulder rolls from here. So as you inhale, start to draw the shoulders up towards your ears. As you exhale, let them roll down the back of the body. 2 more times just like that. Inhale, draw the shoulders up. Exhale, let them release back. And 1 more time. Inhale, draw those shoulders up towards the ears. Exhale, let them roll down the back of the body. Good. And then letting the chin start to release forward so that you're looking at the mat, looking at your toes. And then slowly the head can start to roll all the way around, making a couple circles with the neck. Moving at a pace that feels comfortable for you. Bringing your hands to the neck if that feels good. Maybe even side to side a little bit. Trying to release any little bit of tension that might be stored in the neck and the shoulders and the back. Going back in the opposite direction if you were making circles. And then starting to come back through center once you feel complete on both sides. The head lifts back up towards the sky. And we are going to step the left foot to the back of our mat, coming into a warrior 1. So the left foot steps back. It grounds down through the outer edge of the foot, about a 45-degree angle. Our hips are facing the top of the mat, or the front of the mat. And then as you inhale, your arms lift up. As you exhale, we're going to bend into that right knee. So pressing down through the outer edge of that left foot, pressing that left hip forward. Good. So from here, we're going to bring our arms into those cactus arms or those goalpost arms where your elbows are bent, sides of your body. And then you're going to bring it in front of your face. So the elbows are coming together, the hands are coming together right in front of you. Good. And then that left elbow is, or the right elbow is on top of the left, sorry. So you're kind of crossing your arms on top of each other. You can either keep the backs of your hands together or give yourself a little hug. Good. Either way. And then we're going to fold forward. Take a breath in as you exhale, lean forward. And now I took a while to explain all of that. So we've been bending into that right knee for a while now. So take about 2 more breaths, feel that strength. And then slowly go ahead and lift it all the way back up. You can bring the arms back to the sides of the body. You can straighten the right leg. And then we're just going to turn the right toes to face the side of your mat and come into a wide-legged forward fold. So you can inhale, lifting the arms up. And then as you exhale, fold it down. And we're all going to bring our left hand in front of your face. So the left hand is coming to the mat right in front of you. As you exhale, the right arm is going to lift up towards the sky, and we're twisting here. You're looking towards that right hand, rolling that right shoulder open. And then slowly the right hand is coming down to the mat, and we'll switch sides. That left arm is going to start to lift up towards the sky. Take the gaze towards that left hand as you roll the shoulder open and back. See if you can create one straight line from that left hand to the right hand. And then that left hand comes back down to the mat. And we're going to slowly lift it up. So you can bring your hands to your thighs and just gently press yourself up, or however it feels comfortable to lift up. And then you can just sort of heel toe your feet back together. And then we're going to come to stand back at the top of the mat because you were probably at the side of your mat. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So on the next inhale, the right foot is going to step behind you as we set up for that warrior one on the opposite side. So your hips are facing forward. On the next inhale, the arms are lifting up. As you exhale, bend it into that left knee, pressing down through the outer edge of the right foot. Relax through the shoulders as you take your gaze up towards the hands. And then we will again find those cactus arms. So the arms are bending at the sides of the body first, and then go ahead and bring the elbow and the hand together. This time the left elbow is coming on top of the right, backs of the hands together, or give yourself that hug. Inhale, lift it up a little bit. And then as you exhale, fold it forward one more time. Think about pressing the top of the head kind of forward, lengthening through the spine a little bit. And then slowly with control, you can lift it back up, unravel the arms as you straighten the left leg, turn the left toes to the side of your mat, and one more time, wide-legged fold. As you inhale, the arms lift up. As you exhale, dive it down, forward fold. This time taking any variation that feels good for you. So if it feels good to kind of rock it out from side to side, you can do that. If it feels good to walk your hands over to one leg and then the other leg. Maybe walking your hands way out in front of you or behind you. Now 2 more breaths here. And then slowly we'll start to lift it all the way up again. So you can press your hands into your thighs as you gently roll yourself up to a standing position and just sort of walk the feet back together. Good. Again, making your way back to the top of the mat if you weren't there already. I have us kind of moving all over our mats this afternoon. So on the next breath, we're going to step that left foot back again. This time we're coming into a high lunge. So I think I've explained it before. High lunge is super similar to warrior one, except that that back heel is lifted. That's the primary difference. So in a warrior one, that back heel is down. Here we're on the ball of the left foot and the toes are, and the heel is lifted. So we're going to take a breath in and lift up through the upper body. As you exhale, you're going to press your hands behind you, press the top of the head forward. We're going to do that 2 more times. So inhale, lift it up. See if you can keep the lower half of the body really straight. And the upper half is moving. Exhale, hands sweep back, head presses forward. One more time. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale, hands sweep back. Good. On the next inhale, we'll go ahead and reach the arms back up overhead. Straighten that back leg. And then we're just going to shift to the other side. So we're shifting to the back of your mat now. So you might not be facing the camera, but it's okay because you know what we're doing. We're going to do that exact same thing. So bending into that left knee now. Right foot is behind you. Take your breath in as you lengthen through the upper body. As you exhale, swing the arms behind you. 2 more times. Inhale, lift it up through the upper body. Exhale, sweep the arms back. One more time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, send it back. Good. On the next inhale, we'll lift and lengthen again. Go ahead and straighten that left leg and come back to standing at the top of your mat one more time. On the next inhale, we're going to reach the arms up overhead. As you exhale, dive it down, forward fold. From here, let's step it back to our downward facing dog. We haven't been back to down dog in a little while, so go ahead and step it back to your down dog. Take 2 breaths here as you kind of settle back in. And then we're going to gently lower down onto our knees, coming back to that tabletop position. So the back is nice and straight. You can untuck your toes. And then the right foot is going to extend. So kind of pressing the right heel into the back wall, almost like imagine like you're stepping on a back wall or something behind you. That foot is nice and flexed. And then on the next inhale, that right knee is going to draw in towards your nose, rounding the back. As you exhale, extend it long. 2 more times like that. Inhale, right knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. 1 more time. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. And then let's turn it into even more of a balance. So that right leg is going to stay extended. The left arm is going to start to reach forward. So opposite arm, opposite leg are extending in opposite directions. Either stay right here or bend that right knee and start to reach back for it. I suggest at least bending the knee and reaching for it. Even if you're not making the connection, work on reaching back for it. The more you practice that, the closer you'll get. And then slowly go ahead and re-extend your arm and leg. And you can bring both back down to the mat. Just kind of shake your hips out from side to side a little bit, stretching that out. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side, starting with that left leg extending behind you. That foot is nice and flexed. And then as you inhale, the left knee draws in towards the nose. As you exhale, extend it long. 2 more times. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. Inhale, knee to nose. Exhale, extend it long. And let's start to find that balance. So this time the right arm is going to reach forward. Left leg, right arm, 1 straight line from fingertips to toes. And you can stay here. If this is feeling right, then you're going to stay here for a couple more breaths. If you want the extra step, the left knee is going to bend, almost like you're trying to point your toes towards your head. And then that right arm is going to reach back, working on grabbing the top of that left foot. So this is a balance, but this is also a back bend. So think about bending through the back, whether you have the connection with the hand and the foot or not, you're lifting up through the chest, and there's a little arch in the back. Slowly go ahead and re-extend your arm and leg, bringing both back down to the mat. And let's find a child's pose for a breath or two. So the toes can come together, the knees are a little bit apart. As you lower yourself down into your child's pose, find a variation of this that feels good for you. So that could be fingertips at the top of the mat. That could be hands stacked on top of each other with your forehead on the back of your hands. It can also be fingertips next to the body, or next to the toes, I should say. So any of those variations are options. About 3 breaths here. We're going to slowly start to walk our hands back towards the top of the mat if they weren't there already. Your toes are going to tuck as you come back into your downward facing dog. The hips go up and back. Your gaze is towards your thighs. Take a breath here as you start to settle back in. And then your gaze is going to shift to your hands. So you're going to start to look towards the top of your mat and walk those feet back to your hands, coming to a forward fold. From your forward fold, bring your hands to your shins. Take a halfway lift. So lengthening the spine, the back is flat as you inhale. As you exhale, fold. So you're getting a little deeper of a fold here. And then on the next inhale, we'll lift it all the way back up. Reach the arms overhead. As you exhale, sit back into a chair pose. So you kind of walk the feet together if they were apart. Weight is in the heels. The shoulders are relaxed as you lengthen through the back of the body and sit into that imaginary chair, even to the point where you can wiggle your toes a little bit. The weight is kind of in the back. And then on the next inhale, go ahead and lengthen, stand up straight, reach the arms overhead. That should feel good. Exhale, let the arms come to the sides of the body. Good, so standing up nice and tall. Let's come into a tree pose. Let's do some balancing. So you know your options by now. If you like to step off your yoga mat or towards a wall or something like that, go ahead and prepare yourself for your tree. We're going to find a nice firm foundation with the left foot. We'll start on the right side. So that right foot is going to come to the inner ankle of the left foot, or maybe a little bit higher. You can decide where it feels most comfortable. Your hands are coming to heart center. And then you have the option to really do anything with your hands that you want. Some people like to extend them out to the side to sort of find their balance. Some people take it overhead, maybe that prayer overhead, maybe nice and open arms, open fingers overhead. We're going to hold this for about 3 more breaths. Go ahead and give it a shot. If you're wobbling, if you're coming out of it, that is okay. Keep coming back into it. And then slowly beginning to bring your hands back to heart center. If they're not there already, that right foot can come down to the mat. You can kind of shake out the standing leg, maybe a little forward fold. I find that that feels good on my back. So if that feels good for you, go ahead and do that. And then start to set yourself up for the other side. So that firm foundation with the standing leg is important. So that means if you fan out your toes a little bit, get a nice foundation. You don't want to grip the ground with your toes, so you don't want to like dig in, but you want to like have that nice wide foundation, if that makes sense. The left foot is coming to the inner ankle of the right foot. Your hands can come to heart center. And then that left foot can sort of settle wherever it feels comfortable on the right leg, just as always being mindful of the knee. About 3 or 4 more breaths here, acknowledging the differences that you feel from side to side. Sometimes one side is a little off. They always say the poses that are the hardest or the most challenging are the ones that we need the most. So whenever you're in a balance and you find that it just doesn't feel like your day, you feel like you're wobbling all over the place, remind yourself that you really needed that pose today. So it's good that you're doing it. When you're ready, your hands can start to come back to heart center. That left foot can slowly start to slide back down the leg, and you can kind of shake it out a little bit, let it go as you make your way back to the top of your mat. We're going to step the left foot back one more time. I'm kind of mixing it up a little bit today. So the left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. We're setting up for our warrior 2 pose. So your arms are going to lift up on an inhale. As you exhale, the right knee bends. So your hips are facing the left side of your mat. Your knee is facing the top of your mat. Shoulders are really nice and relaxed. As you're looking forward towards that right middle finger. And then we're going to flip the right palm. So the right palm is facing the ceiling now. And then lean forward like you're trying to reach something that's in front of you. And then lift that right arm up and overhead. Left hand can rest softly on the back leg as you continue to bend into the right knee. This is called peaceful warrior. So we're bending into that right knee and lengthening through the right side of the body. Good. On the next breath, find your way back to your warrior 2. And then you can go ahead and straighten that right leg. That should feel good. One more time, right fingertips are reaching forward. We do this to create a little length first before we come into the pose. And then we're going to come into our triangle pose. So the right arm is coming down, the left arm is lifting up. That left shoulder rolls open and back as you look up towards that left hand. Both legs are straight here. That right hand can be resting on a block or something that you have on the ground. It can be on your shin. It can also be on the ground. On the next inhale, engage your core and slowly start to lift it all the way back up. Turn your right toes to face the side of your mat. And again, we're going to do that little shift to the back of the mat. So the left toes are now facing the back of your mat as we take a breath in for space. As you exhale, warrior two on the left side, facing backwards. The shoulders are relaxed. You're looking towards that left center middle finger now. Center middle finger is kind of the same thing. And then we'll flip the left palm. Left palm is facing up as you reach forward for that length, and then lift that left arm up and overhead, remembering to keep that bend in the left knee as you lengthen through the left side of the body, looking up towards the sky. Slowly traveling back to your warrior two. And we'll straighten that left leg. One more time, reach the left fingertips forward first. Give yourself that extra length to fold into. And then find your triangle, Trikonasana, by bringing that left arm down, the right arm up. So wherever that left hand is, it's really light. It could even just be hanging because you're not really like putting all your weight into that left arm. Your core is what's holding you up here, and that left arm is sort of just gently resting on your shin or block or whatever it's on. On the next inhale, go ahead and lift it all the way back up. And one more time, we'll just sort of wiggle our feet together, coming back to standing. You can turn around so that you're facing the camera if I got you all backwards. And we're going to come to stand with our feet a little wider than hips width distance. On the next inhale, you're going to reach your arms up overhead. As you exhale, dive it down, forward fold. We're going to bring that left hand in front of the left toes. Put a little bend in the left knee. As you inhale, the right arm is going to peel up towards the sky. So this is kind of like what we did when we were in that wider leg fold, but it's just slightly different variation because the legs aren't quite as wide this time. So we're still getting that same twist. If you want to take it a little further, you can add on a bind by bringing the right hand behind the back towards the left hip. So you're kind of bending that right elbow behind the body. Totally an option. Either way, that right shoulder is lifting up, the chest is lifting up. If you have the right elbow bent, go ahead and re-extend it towards the sky. And then we're all going to bring the right hand down in front of the right toes, put a little bend in the right knee, and on the next inhale, we'll lift up through the left side. Roll that left shoulder open and back as you look up towards the left fingertips. And then if you took that bind on the other side, that left elbow can bend. The hand can come towards the right hip. Continuing to roll open through that shoulder, look up towards the sky. And then we'll start to make our way back out of it by lifting the left arm up and slowly bringing that left hand back down to the mat. And on the next inhale, gently lifting it all the way back up, bringing the arms overhead. And then your hands can come to heart center as you step your feet back together at the top of your mat. And we'll take a breath in, reach the arms overhead. As you exhale, dive it down, forward fold. We're going to step it back to a lunge from here, a low lunge. So the left foot is stepping back to the back of your mat. Your fingertips are framing out that right foot. Good. And then the left knee is coming down, untucking those toes. So we're setting up for our crescent lunge position, but let's go ahead and warm up through the hips a little bit first. So as you exhale, hips press back, fold over that right leg. Inhale, the hips press forward, the right knee bends, the upper body starts to lift. So your fingertips are still on the mat, but the upper body is lifting. As you exhale, the hips go back, fold over that right leg. Go ahead and do that a couple more times with your breath. 2 or 3 more times, just sort of moving in a way that feels comfortable for you. Next time you come forward, we'll start to make our way all the way into our crescent lunge. So pressing the hips down as much as feels comfortable. Hands can either come to that right knee, or they can start to lift all the way up towards the sky. The shoulders are relaxed. The gaze comes up. And then slowly the hands come back down to frame out that right foot. Left toes tuck as you straighten that back leg. And then we're going to step it back up to a forward fold. So the left foot comes up to meet the right. Take that little halfway lift. Your hands come to your shins as you inhale. As you exhale, fold. And we'll take it right over to the other side. So the right foot is stepping back. Low lunge on the left side. Right knee comes down as you untuck the right toes. As you exhale, straighten that left leg and fold over the leg. Take a couple rounds just like this, pressing the hips down, lifting up through the heart, the chest. And moving in a way that feels good for you. I know some people like to go a little slower here to the point where they even pause in one spot and sort of just breathe into it, or even kind of massage the back of your leg if that feels good. Go for it. Work on warming up those hips a little bit, along with the back of the leg as well. And then the next time you come forward, we'll start to make our way into that crescent lunge. So the hips press down, the upper body starts to lift. Your hands are either resting on the knees or the knee, or they're reaching up towards the sky. Continuing to press down through those hips. So think about pressing that right hip towards the mat. And then slowly bringing your hands to frame out that left foot. We'll tuck the right toes, straighten that right leg, and then step it back up to your forward fold. So the right foot's coming back up to meet the left. Good. Those are tricky transitions, and I do them a lot. So if you feel like they're really challenging, give yourself some credit for giving it a try, because it's not easy. Let's all take a halfway lift as your hands come to your shins, nice flat back. As you exhale, fold. On the next inhale, lift it all the way up. Arms come up overhead, little back bend if it feels comfortable. And then exhale as you slowly dive it all the way back down. Good. Bringing your hands to the mat. We're going to step it back to our downward facing dog one more time, just for a breath or two. I always like to come to this pose a couple times and just kind of check in with ourselves each time we're here, because you might notice that you're feeling a little stronger, a little more open, it feels a little more comfortable, or you might notice the opposite. You might notice that at this point you're tired, you're over it, you're done, and that's okay too. Wherever you are at right now is fine. The important thing is acknowledging it. Let's all bring our knees down to the mat, coming to that tabletop position. And then we're just going to come to a seated position. So from your tabletop, you can actually come all the way down and start to extend the legs out long in front of you. Your legs are coming to the top of your mat, sitting up nice and tall. You kind of rock your hips from side to side a little bit as you flex through the feet. And we're going to do our pigeon pose seated this evening. So to do our seated pigeon, that left foot, is going to come to the right knee. Good. So you're kind of making an upside down figure four shape. Your hands are at the side of your body. That right foot is nice and flexed. And then you're just going to place the right foot on the mat. So you're stepping your right foot on the yoga mat, and then check in with yourself. If you're feeling that stretch in the left hip already, then you can stay right here. If you're not feeling it yet, that right foot starts to walk closer and closer to you until you eventually feel it in the hip. The idea is that the back stays straight. So if you find that you're kind of curving your back to get that leg closer to you, go ahead and step the foot a little further away and see if you can extend through that spine. Try to relax into that left hip a little bit. Breathing, flexing through the left foot. Even rock the hips from side to side a little bit if that feels good. I know I've said this before, but this is always an option when we're doing pigeon on our stomachs. If you don't love that pose, which some people don't, you can always do it this way instead. Same exact stretch, just coming at it from a different direction. We're going to slowly let that right leg re-extend onto the mat. The left foot is going to come to the outside of the right knee. We're getting ready for a twist. So the left hand comes to the side of the body. As you inhale, the right arm lifts up. As you exhale, twist to the left, hooking that right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Take a deep breath in as you lengthen through the spine. As you exhale, see if you can twist a little further. Relaxing through the shoulders, the thighs, the jaw. Anything that doesn't need to be tensed right now, go ahead and relax it. And then we're going to slowly come over to the other side for just a breath, unraveling all of that. And come back through center, re-extend the legs, and we'll set that up on the other side. So the right foot is going to come on top of the left knee. The right foot is really nice and flexed. The left foot is flexed as well. You have that upside down figure 4 shape. Hands are at the side of your body. And then when you're ready, that left foot can start to come to the mat. And then that left foot just slowly starts to walk towards you. And you might actually even be feeling the pose without the left foot on the mat. I didn't say that. If you feel it when the foot is still up with the leg flat on the ground, that's fine. You can stay right here and just kind of work on pressing that right knee down a little bit with your hand. That's completely an option as well. The idea is that you're just taking it as far as you can until you feel that little bit of resistance in the knee, or I'm sorry, in the hip. You don't want any sharp pains in the hip, but you want to feel that you're pushing it far enough that it's being forced to kind of relax and let go, if that makes sense. Taking about 2 or 3 more breaths here. And then we'll slowly let that left foot slide back down onto the mat. If the knee was bent, the right foot comes to the side of the left knee. The right hand comes to the side of the body. As you inhale, the left fingertips lift up. As you exhale, twist it to the right. Hook that left elbow on the outside of the right knee. As you take a breath in, sit up a little taller. As you exhale, twist a little further. And then we'll take it back over to the other side. Right elbow comes to the right knee as you twist to the left. And again, coming back through center, extending both legs long. Come to a wide-legged seat. So opening up the feet, making a nice big V shape with the legs. Take a breath in as you inhale, your arms up. As you exhale, fold forward. I typically do this pose when we first start class. So take a minute here now and just kind of see if maybe you're able to come a little further than you usually do. It's a challenging pose at any time. So I'm not saying you're going to come into it way deeper. But you might feel a little more open than when you do it right at the very beginning of class. So you kind of rock side to side. If it feels good, you can walk your hands to one leg and then the other. Maybe you just stay still. Maybe it feels good to just hold it and breathe. 2 more breaths. And then slowly starting to walk the hands back towards the body as you make your way back up to a seated position. You can just gently press the legs back together so that the heels are right at the top of your mat. And we'll start to take it all the way down. So 1 vertebrae at a time. You can go ahead and lower yourself onto your mat. Take a full body stretch once you get there. Reach your arms up overhead. Big inhale. As you exhale, the hands can fall to the sides of the body. As we start to set ourselves up for our bridge pose, the knees will bend, the feet come to the base of the spine. And on the next inhale, the hips are going to start to press up towards the sky. So we're lifting up our spine, our tailbone, our hips. Your hands can remain pressing into the mat, or they can start to interlace under the body as you sort of shimmy your shoulders a little further under you. So we're going to hold this for about 5 more breaths or so, continuing to press up through the hips, trying not to make it all your glutes that are pushing you up. So you really want to relax the lower half of the body a little bit and just work on pressing those hips up towards the sky, tucking the chin into the chest, allowing the spine to bend in a direction that it doesn't usually bend in. We bend forward all the time on our phones, on our computers, when we're eating. Take 2 more breaths now with that spine bending in a different direction. And then slowly, 1 vertebrae at a time, that spine can begin to peel itself back down onto the mat. Once your tailbone touches, your knees can just gently rock from side to side. Maybe a little click in the back spine. And then we'll start to draw the knees in towards us. Give yourself a little hug. As you wrap your arms around your shins, you can lift your head up towards your knees, making that little ball shape. And then gently placing the head back down on the mat as we prepare for our inversion. You know the choices by now. I always throw out there a suggestion to do your legs up the wall. No idea if anyone does it or not, but that's always an option. Or you can lift your feet up right in the middle of the room where you are. Hands can be behind the thighs, supporting them, or they can be under your hips. Whatever way you want to get your feet up in the air is perfectly fine, but we're going to take those 7 or so breaths right now to just allow that blood to sort of flow in the opposite direction down the legs. Kind of start to slow the breath a little bit. Start to settle down as we begin to move towards the end of our practice. You'll start to tap into that parasympathetic nervous system, calming the body, creating a little feeling of peace. And then we'll all slowly start to draw the knees back in towards ourselves one last time. You can kind of rock it out from side to side or even circle the knees. Sometimes it feels good to circle them in opposite directions. Whatever feels good for you. And then we will bring our arms to the sides of your body in a T shape. So extending your arms out wide. Let those knees start to release to the right as you find that twist that we often end our practice with. So twisting here in a way that feels comfortable for you. And so you can play around with it. Sometimes I like to have my arms in that cactus arm shape with my elbows bent. Sometimes I cross one knee over the other. It kind of deepens the twist a little bit more. You can either look in the opposite direction of your knee or you can look up towards the sky. So throwing out a bunch of suggestions, play around, see what feels good with you, and then do that. This should feel comfortable. This should feel relaxed as we start to slow it down a little bit. You can let the eyes close or even just sort of letting your vision become blurry so you're not really focusing on anything, if that makes sense. And then gently drawing your knees back through center as we start to take it over to the other side. So the knees will come to the left. The gaze can be up towards the sky or over to the right. Same options, the arms can be straight or the elbows can be bent. Cross one leg over the other. Good to have different options too, because different days feel different. Once you know different things that you like, you can always add them on even if a teacher isn't suggesting it. So if you know you like those bent arms here, you can do it every time. Or if you know you don't, you can ignore it if it's being suggested. And then slowly starting to draw your knees back through center. You can have your feet on the mat with your knees bent and just take a moment to do that little scan that I always like to have everyone do at the end of class. So just take a moment to notice where you are. Just kind of ask yourself what you still need. Is it a pose? Is it one last little twist or bend or stretch? Is it some water, a blanket, a sweatshirt, some socks, whatever is going to allow you to feel really comfortable as you settle into the end of your practice. Go ahead and begin to take those last little moments now to do that. And then once you feel ready, you're going to start to make your way into your final pose of the evening, whatever that may be for you. So it might mean just extending your legs long on the mat. If you're lying on your back, go ahead and take up some space. Maybe that means extending the feet a little wider than usual, extending your arms out to the sides of your body, just letting yourself take up that space, just exist, float, melt into your mat. As always, if lying on your back isn't what feels comfortable right now, then you can take whatever position does feel comfortable. Come onto your side, bend your knees. Even sitting back up is an option. So as you start to settle in, letting your eyes close if they're not already, starting to become really heavy as you relax and let go, beginning to melt into your mat a little bit. I love that visual of just completely dissolving and letting go, floating away. I invite you to bring your awareness to your feet. Squeeze your feet really tightly, like you're trying to make fists with your feet. And then slowly relax the feet. Feeling all that tension you created sort of dissolve and melt away. We're going to do the same thing with the legs, the whole lower half of the body. Start to squeeze your thighs, your shins, your glutes. Every part of your leg is squeezing really tightly, really intensely. So you're creating more tension than was even there before. Hold it for a moment. And then on the next exhale, you're going to let it all go. Let that float away, let that dissolve. And when you do that, you're taking a little more tension than you had created. So some of what was already there, you're kind of taking it away. Bring your awareness to your hands. Start to squeeze your hands, making fists with your hands, your elbows, your shoulders, your biceps, your triceps. Draw the shoulders up towards the ears so the whole arms are squeezing really tightly, really intensely, making those little fists. And then slowly go ahead and relax the arms, allowing the hands to softly open, the shoulders gently falling away from the ears and melting into the mat if you're on your back. Start to bring your awareness to your stomach. Squeeze your stomach really tight, almost like you're getting ready to do a sit-up, engaging the core, the abs. Create that tightness for another breath, or maybe not a breath because it's hard to breathe like this. And then go ahead and exhale and let it go. Letting that breath start to return to its normal rhythm. So as you inhale, your stomach expands. As you exhale, it contracts. Allowing that breath to now move freely through the body. Then lastly, bringing your awareness to your face. Squeeze your eyes shut really tight. Make a funny face with your mouth, maybe even lifting your head up off the mat for a moment. Wrinkle your forehead, squeeze everything really tight, really tense. And then finally, as you exhale, relax, let the head release back onto the mat, softly being supported by the earth, allowing the whole body to now just stay here for a few moments, completely relaxed in your Shavasana. Slowly starting to deepen your breath. Gently beginning to bring your awareness back to your body. Very, very subtle movements. Fingers, the toes, your wrists, your ankles. Take whatever stretch it is that feels good for you right now, whether it's bending the knees or reaching the arms overhead. Moment to just slowly wake up. Maybe turning onto your side if you are on your back and that feels comfortable. The knees can be bent as you rest your head on your arm. And just take these last few moments here on your mat to say thank you to yourself, always thanking yourself for coming to your mat, making yourself a priority and taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others. It's important to make time for you so that you can put your best out there for everyone else. When you're ready, slowly start to make your way back up to a seated position if you're not there already. Your eyes can remain closed as you bring your hands to heart center. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me tonight. It is wonderful, as always, to see all of you. I hope you have the most beautiful night, a wonderful weekend, and a whole week until I see you again. Namaste.